7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Welcome everyone to Launch with Kim, and it's me, Dr. Newt. You guys don't get the better half today. I apologize. Miss Kim is off doing some other things right now. So you only get me. Hopefully that will be enough. But again, we'd like to welcome you and thank you for your time. Listen, I don't thank you enough for your time. Listen, time is your most valuable asset. It's the one thing that once you spend it, you cannot get it back. So time just keeps moving. It doesn't stop for anyone. It's the thing that's unmanageable. We get 24 hours. You can't take any away. You can't add any more, no matter who you are. So when you stop what you're doing throughout your day to hear anything that we have to say with our lips of clay, then I count that a great honor. So thank you for tuning in to Launch with Kim and Dr. Newt. Now, Launch 360 Ministries with Kim and Dr. Newt. Again, I am Dr. Newt. Kim is not here today. She will be back next week. It's all me today. So let's see if we can get through this thing. And so you guys are in trouble because there's nobody to tap me on my knee to tell me, okay, you're talking too much. Move on, So we're going to try to keep it in our time frame today, but we've been talking about the layers of leadership, and as we've been talking about those layers of leadership, I think this is week 5 for us, actually today. The first week, well, we like to do a review, so I'm going to do a quick review, but not as extensive as the ones we've been doing before. Before we get moving, I want to see, I think it's over my right shoulder here. You see our book. Kim and I, we wrote a book. Our first book we wrote together. It's Baggage Claim, and it is a book on marriage. So you can catch that. You can get that on Amazon if you're interested in doing that. So sorry to kind of break the flow, but I looked up and saw it because we never broadcast from in here, and I saw it. And I said, let me tell you guys about our book. And then, of course, when we do the kids portion, you will see Kim's books. She has, I don't even remember how many now, 12, 13, 14. I don't remember, but she has tons of children's books that are available to you, and you can get them. They're all on Amazon. You can either inbox her, she'll give you the website, or you can go to our website together. It's New Ed Products, NEWED Products, plural.net. And you can catch all of our things that we offer from that website right there. So you guys, I see we have some folks tuned in. Let's jump back in. Sorry for the quick shameless plug commercial piece, but back to business today. Launch 360 on Saturday. Welcome in. I'm going to jump right in with where we were. We've been talking about the layers of leadership, and as we're addressing these layers of leadership throughout the weeks, we started with the first week just kind of defining leadership itself. And we said that every leader has to be driven by some type of frustration or a need to accomplish a thing. I like to say anger. Kim doesn't like that word, so she's not here. I'm not going to say it. I'll just say frustration. Or the need to accomplish a thing. And that leader is courageous. Like, they're willing to step out front no matter who's with them or who's not with them. And they have a mindset of succession, training others. So I was talking last night. We went to an event last night. I was talking to Pastor Sheldon Brown of a local church here, a young man I'm really fond of. And I told him I was going to do a session on leadership. Not leadership, but succession of leadership. And I told him that maybe a month and a half ago, and he pulled me up on it last night. Did you do that series yet? So it's coming. So leaders have to be willing to have the mindset to succeed, like what's coming next. They're always thinking, how do I put myself out of business? How do I give what I have to the next person? Training others. And they stay focused on their why. No matter what's taking place, no matter how it's taking place, why is always more important. So we covered that, and the 3 C's that we gave in that first week were the leader must have clarity of who they are and what they are, the courage to do a thing, and the character to carry it out so that everyone will want to follow them. Then the next week, we went into an introduction of you. We talked about how the kingdom view of leadership is that everyone is a leader. We're all charged to be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue, which means we all have seeds within us. So we're all subject to this cycle that we call the purpose, fruit, follower cycle. So we've been given a purpose, formed with a purpose. We have seeds that are meant to produce a fruit. And as we mature that fruit and make it available to others, then followers will come to access that fruit. And in order to operate in that vein, more aware of who you are and what you are, introduction to yourself, then competence is something that we must be aware of. Competence in our skill set and what it is we're supposed to accomplish, the ability to communicate. And we broke communication down. And we have to stay focused on our center point. We have to know from where we're operating and understand that that center point is from where everything happens. Kind of like throwing a pebble into a pond. Boom, it hits the pond and you get these concentric circles out. So that's kind of what we covered there. Then we went to the next week and we said, listen, one good choice changes everything. And we used Rahab as the example. And we went on to say, listen, your choice occurs before an action is produced. So it's usually a thought, a feeling, an action, and a habit, and then character, right? But what happens is between that thought and between the thought and the feeling and the action, a choice has to take place. We have to decide to do a thing. And in Rahab's case, her decision was to believe in a God that she'd never seen or had any interaction with. Just the reputation of that God and what he stood for and what he could do was enough for her to make a choice to produce an action to hide those men, to cover those men. And that choice that produced that action changed everything in her life and in her family's life, the bloodline that came after her, because if not, they would have been destroyed. So we're telling you, listen, get in position so you can hear what's coming, right? Consider all the information that comes your way. Recognize the opportunity to commit. Once you know the direction that you're going to go, look for that opportunity to commit. And then the fourth thing you need to do is act. Act decisively. Despite your fear, despite your unsurety, act and move towards it. And in order to do that, we said, as a leader, you have to understand that faith and trust are required. So faith in what you see and what you hear and your level of competency and your ability to get a thing done, but trust in actually it's going to be others. It's going to be in yourself and in others and in God. So there's some connectedness that has to happen for every leader. And understanding that trust that takes place for a leader is momentarily. So as a leader, trust an individual, that trust is good for right now. And what may happen later is that individual's position may shift in your life because they have a purpose too. So you have to understand and see that coming and know when to adjust accordingly. And we said that the C's that go along with that, and that's last week's, was compassionate. You have to be compassionate and understand the plight of everyone, and that they're going to make a choice that may be different than some of the actions that they've done before. So be aware of their new choice and the possibilities that can come from them because of that choice, because those possibilities can further the purpose or the mission that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's a team or whether it's for you individually. And then you have to be confident in your level of competency, what it is that you can accomplish, and be willing to just kind of move forward and do that. And like we've already said, connected. In this case, Joshua was connected with God. God told him what to do. He said it out loud, and he was connected with man. In this case, he was connected with Moses, who was the leader before. And we're saying you need to be connected, of course, with God, but with man as well. There should be someone that you're looking up to, that you want to pattern your life after. Not accomplish the things they did. They have a big building, or they have a wonderful business, or they're a multimillionaire. Not that, but pattern your life after them, their character, who they are, and kind of what they stand for. And that person should be able to pour into you. So I always talk about Ron Carpenter. I met him once in my life. Doesn't know me from a can of paint. I follow him closely. I pattern things in my life after him in character, his character choices. I'm not trying to be him. Let's understand that. He has his gift, his purpose. I have mine. He can't do what I can do, and I can't do what he can do. But there's some character choices and traits and some patterns in his life that have allowed him and put him in position where he is. I look at those principles, which we're going to talk about today in our new content. So, I look at him in that arena and pattern some of my things after him, but I also sit under his word so the oil can flow downhill, if you will, so that I can get deposits from him and allow him to pour into my life. But he doesn't even know that he is. He doesn't know me. What? 6,000-7,000 people attend his church on a Sunday morning. Another couple 100,000 are online with him every week. He doesn't know who I am, but he's pouring into me. And in the way I see it, I'm the only one in the room. So you have to have that type of connectedness. So sorry to get hung up there a little bit. So this week, as we move on, and I'm going to do it teacher style, if you guys just let me be me, we're going to talk about kingdom leadership principles, 12 kingdom leadership principles that we developed in this course called Layers of Leadership. I'm only going to be able to get through 6 of them today, and I'm going to do that quickly, you guys. So you may have to watch the rebroadcast a few times. If you have any questions about it, feel free to inbox us and things of that sort. So before I jump into them, let me kind of see if I see anyone. Okay, now I don't see anyone. Okay, I see Selena. Hey, how you doing? Jeremiah, thank you for popping in. Thank you, Selena Washington, for jumping in with us. Good to see you this morning. I'm sorry Miss Kim's not on. When Miss Kim's not on, the numbers are down, but that's all right. So let me jump back in here with these 12 kingdom leadership principles. I like to call them KLPs, the 12 kingdom leadership principles. We're going to give you 6 today, and I'm hoping you're ready to go because we're just going to move with them. But before I get into the principles, let's talk about the word principle. What exactly is a principle? So I put the definition up on the board, listen, I'm in the classroom, up on the screen there, down on the lower third. And a principle is a foundational law. It's a law, or it's a truth that exists. And from that fundamental or foundational truth or law, other things are derived or accomplished or created. So for instance, one principle here on earth is gravity, right? So what goes up must come down here on earth because there's a gravitational force of 9.8 meters per second squared pushing down, towards the center of the earth. So wherever you are on the earth, unless something is sustaining you, if it goes up in the air, it's going to come down. So that is the principle. From that principle of gravitational force, we were able to come up with something called lift. And lift is what allows a plane to fly or a helicopter to fly. I mean, there's a bunch of other things, elevators and how we create our bridges. A lot of things that occurred that we've created on this planet for our convenience and the wisdom of man are based on that principle of gravity. So I just give you an example to say a principle is a fundamental law or it's a truth. It cannot be changed. It's always the same, but other things are derived or created from it. So it's a sense or a rule. It tells you how something is supposed to act. It tells you, what are the requirements of that thing for it to act that way. And then it tells you the outcomes. What will be produced if you put this principle in place? So I wanted to stop and explain to you what a principle is because I don't think a lot of people kind of understand. We kind of look at it as like a rule, like in the classroom, you got the rules on for the classroom. That's just the rules. Rules are not principles. Principles are laws. Rules are built on principles. Principles cannot change. They are constant. They don't care who you are, where you are, how much you have, how much you don't have. They're consistent. And they are going to produce a thing. If you put a principle in place, I don't care who you are going to produce what that principle is designed to produce. So I don't care if you are wicked or righteous. If you put good business principles in place, if you seed, you're going to reap a harvest. That's why folks who could be evil tithe. And I'm kind of using these words evil or whatever loosely because people put a difference between church and clean, unclean. I'm kind of like trying to not go there. But that principle of tithing, of giving, if you look at many of the movie stars, people in Hollywood, they give a lot of their millions. And guess what happens to them? More millions keep coming back. So principles are principles. They work for everyone. So let's get in. Now you know what the principle is. Let's look at the first principle. So I'm going to do this school style, you guys. I'm going to add to the stream a PowerPoint, if that's okay with you. And again, we're talking about the 12 principles of leadership here. Let me get to, I'm not even going to talk about the objectives because I've been talking too long. But let's talk about this first kingdom leadership principle. So when you talk about the first kingdom leadership principle, which is action, it's covered up on there. I don't know what happened to the picture of the slide, but the first kingdom leadership principle is always point to the source of the vision. Always point to the source of the vision. And the example I have for you today is in Exodus 14. So you remember when the children of Israel left Egypt and they're right at the Red Sea. So you got Pharaoh's army on one side, they're in the middle, and you got the Red Sea on the other side, and everybody's panicking like, yo, we're stuck. They're going to kill us. What do we do? What do we do? Well, Moses is the leader. They're all looking at Moses. Moses doesn't know what to do either if you read it, but he goes kind of off to us. He tells them, listen, I want you to stand still and know that, the salvation of God, God's going to take care of us, right? Now, Moses hadn't talked to God yet, but he said that to the people, right? Why? Because he understood, point to the source of the vision. God has got us here. He's the source, so he must have a solution for us. After he did that to the people, calmed them, got them in place, then he went to God and was like, yo, God, what's up? How are you going to fix this? And then God said, what do you have in your hand? We'll move on to another one after that. So he said, what do you have in your hand? We had a staff, and he told him what to do. So when this first kingdom leadership principle, as you're pointing to the source of the vision, you're going to realize that you have something to work with. There's something in you to work with. And as you point to the source of the vision, which is telling you, move in this direction, do this thing, invest here, spend time there, whatever it may be in your life, whether it's your personal leadership or leadership over an organization or event or whatever it is you have to accept the truth that what you are working toward is beyond your capacity. It's going to look like you cannot get this thing done. That's why your eyes have to stay on the source of the vision so you can understand how to work with whatever it is you have and allow your purpose to move you past that point that you think you cannot get past. So that's kingdom leadership principle number one. If I want to, and you can tell I'm kind of cutting them short because I just want to kind of give you the surface, something to think about. So kingdom leadership principle number two is to simply just give leadership away. It is to delegate. So in this case, the example is Moses again. He has the people of Israel, in the wilderness, and there's a bunch of them. And they're bringing all their problems to him, and he can't handle all of it. It's too much for him, right? So he goes to his father-in-law, Jethro. He says, listen, delegate, set men over hundreds and hundreds over tens. And then, so he kind of created an organizational structure, if you will, with a bunch of different leaders. And the only things that come to you are going to be like the really drastic things that are going to impact and affect everyone. So Jethro kind of tells him to do that, right? So he taught him how to delegate. The second kingdom leadership principle is to give leadership away, delegate. So I want to say this and move on. When you think of that word delegate, people think, oh, let me just assign this person this and assign this person that, and assign this person that to get it off my plate. That's not delegating. That is kind of just throwing things off your plate, avoiding work. Delegating is giving the leadership away, not just the task, but everything that has to do with that task. So when you delegate something, you're trusting another person to handle that division. You step back and you allow them to make decisions, or you have conversations with them around the principles or the focus, the vision that's going to happen, and you allow them to do it their way. You give the leadership away. Big difference between assigning tasks. So the second kingdom leadership principle is to give leadership away. That's a gigantic one, especially for our local churches that aren't so large, 200, 350 members. You really want to grow, you really want to get outside of the boundaries that you're in, then give leadership away and allow those folks, those people to operate in their area of giftedness as you do your position and help them keep their eye on the vision. The third kingdom leadership vision principle is, and let me change the slide for you, it is simply stand in the gap for those you lead. Stand in the gap for those you lead. So I love that picture there. The best example I could find was, if you remember when Moses, I'm going to use Moses a lot to kind of stay consistent. Remember, he was up on the mountain and talking to God. He came down from the mountain, and he saw that all the people were worshiping this idol, right? And right, so God gets upset with them, right? So the first thing Moses wanted to do, if you read in that 32nd chapter, is to intercede for the people, right? Then he went to his right hand man, Aaron, like, how can you let this happen, right? And then he commanded all the people, whoever's loyal to God, get on this side, and those that are not, you stay over there with whatever that idol is that you just made, right? And God, and then Moses pleads for the people, even though that they are wrong, right? And then God does some things, and you're gonna have to read it to see what happens, right? So my point is this: leaders can find their folks, whether it's your children, whether it's your husband, wife, whether it's yourself, or whether it's an organization you lead, in a bad position, have made some bad choices, or just maybe not necessarily a bad choice on purpose. It could be one not on purpose, but they find themselves in a predicament, if you will. As a leader, you're going to stand in the gap for those folks. You're going to be the one that gets there and says, "Hey, let's get some mercy. Let's get some grace. Can we get another chance?" I'm going to vouch for this. I'm going to vouch for that. And whatever happens as you stand in the gap, of course, there's going to be some grace because you're the leader. So there's probably going to be some grace, but it may not be all the grace you wanted. At that point, you got to kind of step back and allow what's going to happen. So I'm going to say this as a school principal. I saw this with parents a lot. A lot of parents, especially in urban communities, low-income urban communities, will come in and want to defend their child, and that's natural to do. But sometimes when we come in to defend our child, we don't know the whole story, and we're ready to fight because we've always had to fight the system. But we have to remember we're the leader. I'm gonna stand in the gap for my child because I want them to have some grace. I want them to move forward. I'm gonna hold my child accountable as well. But whatever decision is made, I have to kind of accept that decision if I'm not the one running that organization. So understanding kingdom leadership principle number 3, it's a very, very important one. You got to stand in the gap for those you lead. And then whatever happens after you stand in the gap, you got to watch that and let that take place, because whatever's left, that remnant, that's who you're meant to move forward with. Let me give you, I think I have 3 more I want to give you. And I'm apologizing for these slides. I don't know what happened when I put it in this format. The pictures moved. It's kind of covering up some of the words, but that is fine. I know what they say. So kingdom leadership principle number 4 is to provide generational leadership. In my mind, this is probably one of the most kingdom leadership principles that you need to understand in whatever capacity of leadership you find yourself. Provide generational leadership. Now, this is different than delegating. This is different than giving leadership away and delegating. Providing generational leadership is training a successor. It is putting people in place before they're actually going to take the reins of the whole thing and making them see and understand how things work as they are. Understanding that when those people are able to move in position, they're going to change how things are and move it forward to what they've been imagining and wanting and thinking about all along. Listen, I'll say it to you like this. Children, Kim and I, we raised our children to be better than us. We raised our children to start where we stopped. And guess what? I haven't stopped yet. So hopefully our children are watching and still raising the bar in their lives, because we're going to keep raising it in ours until we close our eyes. We want to die empty, right? And there's still a whole lot in us. So providing generational leadership. There was a point in Numbers, I believe it was, and at that time only the priest was able to talk to God or say something from God, in the tribes of Israel. And Joshua heard some of the young folks or other people prophesying to one another, saying what God said to them to one another. So he went to Moses and said something, kind of telling on them, they're over there prophesying. Moses, you the only one supposed to prophesy. And Moses did something very surprising. He said, listen, it's a big God. I want everyone to hear from God. I know what the custom says, but we're going to change that. Everyone should hear from God, because in that way, we're able to continue to perpetuate our people. We're able to continue to be strong. The more people hearing from God, who's the source of our vision, the greater we'll be. So he seeded into next level possibilities in Joshua's mind, who was going to be the next leader. They didn't know that at the time, but he was providing generational leadership overall, saying, listen, everyone should be able to do this thing, not just me. So I pause right there, because a lot of leaders don't like that. They think that puts them out of a job and means that they're not needed. No, what it does is it means that you're multiplying your organization and not holding people hostage to just your gift and your way of seeing things. And we have to see that not just in organizations, but with ourselves, our own thinking. Sometimes I have to get outside of my thinking, right? And expose myself to others, so I can change, I want to say, the generation of thinking in my own mind, so I can move further. And especially with our kids, that's a lot of things, we kind of hold our kids to what we did or what worked for us, not realizing that generations and times and society has changed. And there's a bigger blessing. There's a cross in the hands. You remember, what was it? Jacob, Joseph's father, crossed his hands, right? And he gave the greater blessing. The right hand is my right. No, this is my right hand. He put the greater blessing on the younger generation. So provide generational leadership. You got to realize the care and the credit is not about you right now. It's about whoever's coming next. The greatest measure of a leader is what that leader, what it looks like after that leader has left. The things that they've accomplished, or the things that are still going after that leader is left. So the next one, kingdom leadership principle, number 5, is call them what they are to become. Call them what they are to become. So you see the picture, you have the cat looking in the mirror, and he sees the full-grown lion. So you have to as a leader be able to look past what you see right now. Look past, even in yourself. Look past your own mistakes and your past choices and the situations and circumstances in which you find yourself here right now. And you have to call yourself a new name. You have to call people a new name, just as Jesus did for Peter, right? His name was Simon. Jesus called him Peter. So Simon means, it meant water. It meant fluid. He called him Peter, right? Which stands for rock, solid, something that's reliable, right? And there was 3 years in that whole time that Peter was with Jesus that he swayed back and forth. He might cuss you out. He might want to fight you. He might be on your side. He might be like, oh, doesn't look so good. Let me stand back and watch and see what happens. He was anything but a rock, but Jesus called him Peter. On this rock, Peter. How do you know this, Peter? Whom do men say I am? Remember that? Some say thou art the liars, right? So he's, Peter, he said, on this rock, on that principle, that rock, right? So as a leader, we have to see things as they are to become. Another great example is a peach seed. If I had a peach seed in my hand and ask you, what did I see? And you've heard me say this before. You've heard Miles Monroe say this before. You might say a peach seed, and I can say you're correct right now. But you're very incorrect with what I have, because what I have in my hand is really a peach tree that has the ability to produce many peaches that have seeds in it themselves, that if I put them in the right environment, they'll all produce trees that have fruit, that have seeds. And if I continue to perpetuate that thing, I can get a whole forest of peach trees just from this one seed I have in my hand. As a leader, you've got to see the peach seed. You got to call them what they are to become, because they're not going to be just what they want to be on their own. And people are not going to become just what you want them to become, because that's what you think they are. People will become what they think that you think they are to become. That's how we're designed. That's why God said, be fruitful and multiply. Put two things together and create something greater. We need each other to do that. I think I had more on the fifth principle, but I mean, I think you pretty much got the point with that principle there. So let me just give you the sixth leadership principle, and let's get out of here today. I'm about 3-4 minutes over the time I want it to be. So the sixth leadership principle is simply that timing is crucial. Timing is crucial, right? So some examples of timing. I know the slide's very small, but I'll kind of like list them off for you. In John, in Matthew, in the New Testament, in the book of John, 2nd chapter, the 1st to 11th verse, Jesus turned the water into wine, right? And remember when they said they ran out of wine, they went to Mary, Jesus' mother, and Mary went and said, well, whatever Jesus tells you to do, do it. Jesus responded, he said, it's not my time. The time has not come, right? So he understood his timing before doing anything. He went ahead and did it anyway because he had to honor his mother and his father, right? But the time, and there's some other reasons we want to get into that, but the time, he understood that there is a timing. In Galatians 4:4, it said, when the fullness of time had come, then what did God do? Send his son. There was a time. Isaiah 40, they that wait on the Lord, there's a timing, shall renew their strength. Matter with wings as eagle, run and not get weary. You know, all that, walk in our faith, all the good stuff. But my favorite one, I think, is Galatians 4:1-2, right? An heir that is immature is nothing more than a servant until an appointed time, until they get under tutors and governors, and they mature from, and I always get the two mixed up, weos to epios, you know, so they're either going from just a son to a matured son, right? So once we mature, then we're able to access the inheritance that we have. Timing is crucial. You have to understand timing. All leaders are pregnant with possibilities. We're all pregnant with possibilities. We all are seedful. We have been formed that way. Pregnant with possibilities. But if you release your seed, if you try to get in a position to do a thing immaturely or prematurely or too late, then you miss that window. There's a timing. That's why we have to build ourselves spiritually, physically, and mentally so we can be aware of the seasons and the times in our lives, when to go forward, when to sit and stop and listen and wait and learn and grow and gather information and build ideas and create a plan, when to invest, when not to. So I'm going to stop right there because I think you kind of get the picture as far as Kingdom Leadership Principle number 6, timing is crucial. I'm kind of looking at the notes just to make sure. Okay. I will say this. Great ideas and poor timing can cancel each other out. So you can have a fabulous idea. Fabulous. But if the timing is not correct, if folks are not ready for it, if you're not mature enough to accomplish it or put it in place or be disciplined to it, then they'll cancel each other out, no matter how great that idea is. So you guys, there it is. We've given you 6 principles of leadership out of the 12, and hopefully you were able to grab at least some morsel out of these. I know I went through them quickly and I'm talking fast, and Miss Kim is not here today to kind of reinforce the stuff to keep me from rambling. But please check out the replay. Before we go, I just want to proclaim something over your life, if that's okay. I want to go ahead and decree and declare, even now, that each person that is under the sound of my voice now, or whatever watch the recording, will be aware of these principles of leadership, to be able to interact them and put them in play in their lives strategically and intentionally, so that they can reap greater benefits from the work that you're doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and call that down right now to you, that reign of understanding and operating in intentional leadership principles will be in play in every decision, in every choice, in every action that you do from this day forward, so that you can reap greater benefits, and see a larger harvest in your life. And we declare that even now in Jesus' name. So let me tell you something about decreeing and declaring. We can decree and declare all day and speak, but at some point you've got to do. We can speak and talk and prepare the ground and get it all ready, but at some point you got to plant a seed. Some point you got to move. So act on that. We've cleared the airway spiritually for you. The angels are now battling on your behalf based on that declaration that we just spoke over your life. So now it's up to you to study it and to be intentional on implementing those things in your life so you can get better benefits. And I know you can do it. You know why I know you can do it? You know what I'm going to say, right? Because you are good ground. That's right. I said it out loud. You are good ground. I am good ground. Guess what? And because I'm good ground and you are good ground, everything grows here. So expect some growth. Expect some growth. Expect some harvest. And I'm just going to get out your way right now. Miss Kim's not here. So, but we are going to launch. We are going to do the kids launch piece, but before we do the kids launch piece, please, you guys, check out our website, www.newedproducts.net. NEWED products, PRODUCTS.net. www.newedproducts.net. If you go on there, you will see a link to Ami's World and the children's book. I think it's 12. I don't remember. I guess I should know that number. 13, I think, children's books that are there available for you. And the newest one is Cheerleaders Go on Strike. And I think that you guys will enjoy that. Go ahead and grab those. But right now, we're going to go into our Saturday kids launch. Thank you for tuning in. Get your kids. Let them have a seat. This is a replay, but I think you'll love it.
Super Day, and today it's Saturday. Launch International Kids on Saturday. That's right, and I'm Super Zach. Well, we are here for Launch 360 Ministries Kid International, that is. That's right, Launch 360 International Ministries for kids. All kids, one big world and one great big God. Here we are growing, learning, and becoming who we're called to be every day.
Children are growing, so start them off the way they should go. And even when they're old, they will not turn from it. Proverbs 22:6. They're learning, so fathers, don't exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Ephesians 6:4. And they're becoming, for the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Romans 8:19.
All kids, one big world and one great big God. Hey, Super J, how you doing? Hi, Super Zach. Wait, what's going on? You don't look like yourself. Well, I had a tough week, and I'm not really sure if I handled it the best way. I get it. I'm feeling kind of down this week because I had so much going on at a school quiz, and I had rehearsal, and then I had all kinds of jobs and chores to do, and I just felt a little overwhelmed. trick of the enemy. Whenever we're feeling tired or weak, or we just got a lot going on, that's when he tries to attack us. Wow, boys and girls, this week we're going to talk about how to stand strong. And when we stand strong, we grow. So I want you to look at and see what Jesus had to go through. He had to stand strong even when the enemy attacked him in the wilderness. And it's something about the enemy. He will attack you when you are weak or tired or hungry. But you just have to stand strong. Check out this video and see just what Jesus did when he was tempted. But keep in mind, we do not own the rights to this video, but it's so awesome we had to share it with you. So for more videos like this, make sure you connect with Saddleback Kids. Alright, check out this video.
Come and see the temptation of Jesus. This is Jesus,
Heyo!
who is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. Jesus was born in Bethlehem and grew up in Nazareth, where he grew in wisdom and favor with God and man.
Oh, I see.
Jesus was baptized by John, and God showed John that Jesus was his chosen one. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness among the wild animals.
Oh, hey there, friend.
For 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus didn't eat anything. So he was hungry. Satan came to him and said, "Hey, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus knew God's word, and so he answered, "No, the word of God says people don't live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." And so Jesus passed the first test. Then Satan took him to Jerusalem and said, "If you are the Son of God, jump off.
Oh, what?
For the word of God says he will order his angels to protect you, and they will hold you up with their hands so you won't even hurt your foot on a stone."
Wait.
But Jesus said, "The word of God also says you must not test the Lord your God."
Now.
And so Jesus passed the second test. So Satan took him to the peak of a high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and all their glory. Satan said, "I will give it all to you if you kneel down and worship me." But Jesus said, "Get out of here, Satan, for the word of God says you must worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then Satan went away, and angels came and took care of Jesus. And so Jesus passed the third and last test.
So how do you feel now, Super J? Wow, Super Zach, I feel awesome now. Thank you for sharing that video. Now that I know that Jesus dealt with all kinds of tough things in the wilderness, then I can deal with things in my everyday life. Thank you so much. I feel fantastic. And I'm ready to take on another week this week. And for all of you out there, whenever you feel like there's just so much going on that you just don't know which way to go, I want you to stand strong, just like Jesus did in the wilderness. And you know, in the wilderness, all kinds of wild things happen. Just like us, with school and home, and just all kinds of things that happen to kids these days. But if you do like Jesus did, I guarantee you'll come out on top. So what you're seeing is that I should be strong in the Lord, like Joshua 1:9. It says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Wow, I needed that encouragement. Thank you, Super Zach. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Be strong and be courageous, even in tough times. And I know you can do it. And you're welcome, Super J. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, and you're here to help me. Boys and girls, have a marvelous week. And remember to be strong. Boys and girls, if you felt like I did, I hope this video made you feel stronger. And I know you're going to have an awesome week. And we'll see you back here next week with Launch Kids 360 International Ministries, where we're growing, learning, and becoming who we're supposed to be. See you here next week for Launch 360 Ministries, Kids International Ministries, that is.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!